Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 30 female, have been married to my husband, 38 male, for 9 years. And I have a long history of conflict with a woman named Sally, who used to be my husband's best friend. The trouble started right after my husband and I started dating. He had a best friend, let's call her Sally, who he now realizes he had an inappropriate relationship with. I got hateful messages after we started dating about how I stole him from her and how toxic I was. The next conflict came a couple of years later. She separated from her husband and turned to my husband for comfort. In the end, I found out after we moved back to the area. She was lying to us about everything she said happened that ended her marriage, and I confronted her saying I didn't appreciate being lied to. Sally started telling people that I was in love with her ex-husband, and that is why I took his side with everything. That was the final straw for me. I went to my mother-in-law and put down a boundary that I wanted no contact with Sally. Eventually, after about a year of minimal contact had passed, my mother-in-law started pressuring me to let things go and start attending family functions again when Sally was going to be there. I told my mother-in-law that I would be willing to attend events where Sally was likely to be, but I would not socialize with Sally. As soon as that happened, I can only assume my mother-in-law told Sally about the change, because she started reaching out to my husband saying, "I miss our friendship that we used to have." Recently, I received an anonymous email saying some really harsh things. I assumed this was some random person trolling me. But we looked up the IP address and it came from the same area Sally lives in. The email referenced my private Facebook group, my first and middle name, and was from her area. She is the only person who I have ever had this kind of hateful situation with, so I can only assume it was from her. I decided to have a conversation with my mother-in-law and father-in-law about going zero contact with Sally, not even accidental contact, and it went terribly. It ended up with us basically telling my in-laws that they needed to decide who they wanted at family functions and tell the other party that they could not come. My mother-in-law insisted again that she wished my husband could just be friends with Sally again, even if I wanted to stay away from her, and that it would fix all the problems that we've been having. I reminded her again about the things Sally had said to me, and my mother-in-law still didn't believe it was true, and kept saying, "Sally is like a daughter to us. She is family, and she would never do those things." My father-in-law refuses to even participate in these conversations. He just gets up and walks away because he refuses to hear a bad word about Sally. I'm left wondering, am I the a-hole? Edit. My husband has only admitted it to himself over the last 12 months or so that the friendship he had with Sally, again, this was before our relationship even started, was really an affair where she cheated on her husband with him, and we have discussed it at length. He just told his mom about it this weekend, and she thought he was being ridiculous. He stood his ground and said it was an affair and it was wrong that he did that, and he has no desire to go back to it. I was present for the conversation, and I fully believe him. He has shown no signs of contacting her, being interested in her in any way, and says he believes that if we were to contact her, that the situation would only escalate further. Edit 2. Y'all, I am not going to leave my husband. He is imperfect and can do more in the situation, yes, but I've also made mistakes. He did not cheat on me. He was her partner in an affair in her marriage. They thought they were just being best friends, but really she just gave all of her emotional commitment to him instead of to her marriage. My husband has spent the last 2 years being zero contact with Sally, just like I have, and somehow she still comes out of nowhere and harasses me. He has agreed to be the one who talks to his parents and is firm with them, so thanks for the advice on that. If she contacts us again, he will also be making clear that he wants nothing to do with her ever, and to not contact us again. We won't be initiating contact because she is likely to escalate again, but we aren't blocking her so we can have a record of any attempts at contacting us. Not the a-hole. Time for some hard boundaries with your in-laws. Not the a-hole, but you are the wrong messenger. Your husband has to be the one to handle this. Your in-laws think you are the problem. Your husband needs to make it clear he does not want to be Sally's friend. He does not want to hang out with her. Even if you are not present, he does not want to talk to Sally. She attacked his marriage. She was a bad friend to him. He is not interested in forgiveness or moving past it. His mother needs to understand this isn't about you. Her son wants nothing to do with Sally. If your husband is unwilling to go alone and set this boundary, then your problem is your husband, not your mother-in-law. My mom passed away 7 months ago, and since she died, her family hasn't stopped contacting me. I, 23 male, never had contact with them before, or them with her. The reason is, I was an affair baby, and they never got over it. My dad cheated on my mom, got my biological mom pregnant. My mom found out about it, but agreed to work things out with my dad. My bio mom didn't make it giving birth, so she's been the only mom I've ever had, and she was great. My parents didn't stay together though. I think I was 2 or 3 when they split up, and my mom mostly had custody because my dad traveled a lot for work, so he was only around when he could be. Her family never liked me for this, and they feel like I robbed my mom of having a real baby, not one she was tricked into raising. My mom never liked how none of them wanted to treat me like family, so she went no contact with them when I was really little. A few times she did try to get me to get to know them, but they were always nasty, especially her mom, so she stopped trying after that. We haven't had contact with anyone in her family for years. I'm the only one who got any inheritance from my mom after she died. Nobody else in her family, so that's what they're all mad about. Before my mom went no contact with them, she was helping her siblings out with medical bills for their mom, and now they've been struggling for years. They think it's fair since the only reason she cut contact with them was because of me, and it's not their fault they couldn't accept me as family, and I shouldn't hold it over them like she did. I see their point in this. Yeah, they didn't see me as family. They saw me as an affair baby, and a reminder of my dad ducking up their marriage and her life. It made my mom cut them off even though they were a great family before that. But after how they treated me, I don't know. Does it make me an a-hole that I don't want to split it? I know they got their own problems that maybe my mom could have helped with, so that's why I don't know. Not the a-hole. You don't owe them a thing. Your mom did the right thing going no contact. Now you should do the same. Exactly. Think about it, OP. Despite everything that happened, after your bio mother died, she made the decision to step up and accept you as her own, and her family completely disrespected her choice, and from the sounds of things, still do. Notice they didn't offer any attempt at reconciliation with you. Just, we're her real family, and we deserve her money. Not the a-hole. They only want money. You owe nothing to people who ignored you your whole life. And the minute OP runs out of money and needs help, these people are going to disappear. Not the a-hole. It sounds like they only want to contact you for the money, rather than to actually try and be a family. It's not your fault that your mom did what she thought was best, and still not your fault that they inherited nothing because they couldn't accept a baby who has no control over being born. My 41 female, ex-husband, 42 male, had an affair with a much younger woman, 23 female, who had a young child, 5 female at the time. I divorced him, and he got officially together with her. We also have 4 children together, 20 male and female, 19 female, and 18 male. Unfortunately, my ex-husband's son passed away a few days ago after a struggle with some kind of cancer. Maybe due to the stress of it all, his girlfriend was rushed to hospital and delivered a stillborn. I still don't know the entire details of what has happened. I feel bad for my ex-husband, but I want nothing to do with him. I had planned this trip forever and partially to distract myself from empty nest syndrome, since my son has recently moved out. I have not spoken to my ex-husband since the divorce, and I don't want to hear anything about him or have anything to do with him, especially since now my children are grown. I only found out about this through the grapevine, but I have not reached out to him. My ex-husband, however, reached out to me to invite me to the tragic double funeral. I feel this is highly inappropriate. There is absolutely no way that his woman would want me there. Who on earth would want the ex-wife of the marriage you wrecked standing beside her 4 grown children while you buried 2 of your own? If I was in her shoes, I would turn violent if she saw me. I'd be the last person on earth she'd want to see. And also, as callous as it sounds, I stopped caring about the man the moment he cheated on me. I never want to stay friends. I never reached out to him when he lost his grandfather, and I don't want to be there for him now. If he doesn't have any other support networks, I'm not going to get sucked into what is going to become drama from his family and hers in case people think I want him back, or I'm taking advantage of him while he's vulnerable. So I told him I wasn't going to come to respect his girlfriend and her grief, and he was trying to tell me she wanted me to come, But I'm not stupid enough to believe that. He also got upset because none of his kids went to the funeral. I never told them not to, but they live in different parts of the country now and either couldn't come or didn't try very hard to go. I did try to tell them that they should go since it's their step and half-siblings, but they felt uncomfortable going there. So I went on my trip as planned. Somehow the photos of my trip on my Facebook have made it into his hands, even though I have him and his family and friends blocked. He has now been blowing up my phone until I blocked him about how unfeeling and cruel I am to go on holiday and that I poison our kids against him, which is why they didn't come to the funeral. I understand that he is grieving, which is why I've blocked him. But am I the a-hole for not forcing my children to go to the funeral and for continuing on with my holiday? Not the a-hole. People who are in relationships comfort each other. You don't have a relationship. Why should you start now? Not the a-hole. You haven't been in contact with him or had anything to do with him since your divorce. As tragic as the situation was, there is no reason for you to have gone OP. Good on you for blocking him. Not the a-hole. Once your marriage ended, your obligation to your ex-husband also ended. Your children are adults and completely capable of deciding for themselves whether or not to attend the funeral. He's allowed to grieve, but he isn't allowed to take his grief out on you and your children. Not the a-hole. Your children are all adults. They can make their own decisions as to what funerals they will attend. I think it was super inappropriate of him to invite you after using this woman to blow up your marriage. If he hasn't maintained enough of a relationship with his original children that they feel compelled to come support him during this time of mourning, and you haven't actually poisoned the well there, that's on him. I will give some backstory because I do think it matters. I've been married to my wife for 12 years. About 5 years in, my wife started feeling like we were in a rut and emotionally neglected because I was working so much and she was left spending so much time taking care of our 2 kids. She started an emotional affair with a coworker, which lasted a few months before she confessed and ended it. I was really bothered by this because I know that for my wife, the emotional connection is as important as the physical, so it could not have been any worse if she physically cheated. We did not pursue therapy at that point. I thought I was okay, but the hurt continued to simmer and eventually led to me confiding in a colleague, someone in my line of work but not a coworker, friend, which actually turned into a physical affair. I did not feel like I was wrong at the time for doing this, since I felt like my wife's unfaithfulness was the cause. I was wrong. I don't deny this now. We had an affair for around 2 years. It was during that time that my partner got pregnant and gave birth to my son. He now is over 5 years old. I eventually confessed all of this to my wife after I started feeling guilty. Things were bad for a long time, but we did get into therapy and have managed to work through our issues. In many ways, our relationship now is better than either of our affairs, and we have since had another child. My wife has always been fine with me being active in my son's life, which is something I told her would have to be allowed if we were going to work things out, because it would not be fair to punish him for my failings. Up until now, that has worked well enough. I soon will be sworn in for a new position I am taking, and I had planned to invite my son to watch since my other children will be attending along with my wife. My wife freaked out when I told her my plans, and said if I did, it would be like throwing my affair in her face. She thinks it is an a-hole move to invite him, but I think he has as much right to be there as my other kids. I can understand her view, but I think I would be the a-hole if I didn't invite him, but let my other kids come. Everyone sucks here, except not your son. You're the a-hole for trying to spin this story where your wife's emotional affair of a few months is somehow equally problematic and the source of your own 2-year-long physical affair that produced a child. You literally make it sound like we both cheated, when that is not the case. You say you don't deny you were wrong, but the way you've laid this out still reeks of denial and culpability. Your wife is slightly the a-hole for refusing to honor your agreement that your son would be a big part of your life. She's putting her own feelings of embarrassment about your affair above those of an innocent child. As your son gets older and more aware of the circumstances, she's going to have to learn to deal with him being around without making him feel like a source of pain for her. That said, your son is 5. He does not care about a swearing-in ceremony. It will be boring for him and not something he's going to feel sad about missing out on. For this instance only, it seems like you could keep the peace by keeping him at home. You had an affair, had a kid from that affair, and your wife has not only continued to stick with you, but also allowed you to be active in the life of the person you had an affair with. Give her this one. Yes, the a-hole. I, 28 male, have a close relationship with my older sister, 42 female. She was married for 15 years, but after he kept neglecting her by taking excessive work trips, she confronted him and found out he was having an affair and had fathered another child with his mistress. She divorced him soon after, and one night while we were hanging out, she told me that he was aggressive to her both mentally and physically. After my nephew graduated from high school and joined up with the Marines, she started talking with her ex again. At first, she told me that she was just trying to keep him in their son's life. However, this soon turned into trips together. When my nephew graduated from basic, they couldn't attend, virus, but they were sipping drinks in a hotel room in Vegas, watching him graduate via a live stream. They took a selfie from their hotel room and posted it on social media. I called her soon after that and asked her what was going on, and she told me that her and her ex were getting back together. I was always cordial with him, even though we have opposing political ideologies. However, with the revelation that he was aggressive to her and cheated on her and had a child with someone else, I've been rather cold and distant from this whole situation ever since. In the spring, she told me that she was going to remarry him, and a few weeks later, I got an invitation to the wedding to be held in Hawaii in July. I didn't respond right away, and a week later she called me asking why. I finally told her the truth. I didn't think it was a good idea for her to remarry her ex, who was aggressive to her. I love and support her, but I just don't think this is a good idea. She got pretty upset and said that I don't know how that will hurt him the way that she does, and to trust her. I still declined, pleaded on deaf ears for her to reconsider, and when she started yelling at me, I wished her the best. After I missed the wedding, she hasn't spoken to me, and even my friends think I should have went. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She is allowed to make whatever choices she wants in life, but you have the right to question them and not support them, especially given her past. Remind her that you love her and will always be there for her, but you cannot support this. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't cut off all communication with her. He will start being aggressive with her again, and she may need you. But you are under no obligation to support her throwing herself into the fire again. Not the a-hole. Ultimately, it's her decision and her life, but you don't need to be a part of something you consider morally wrong and dangerous for someone you love.